The nerve of this high school grad. Poor folks should clean themselves up and get out.
With that, Jessica drenched me in warm beer.
Are you okay, big brother?
We were at a fancy restaurant, greeting the parents of my sister Mary's soon-to-be husband, Kenny Smith. It seems that Kenny's family wasn't pleased that their son was marrying Mary, a high school graduate. She was treated as an unwelcome fiancée, appearing to have no place in her own ceremony. I took out a handkerchief from my pocket and wiped my wet hair and forehead. Despite my wife, Kathy, setting up this meeting to introduce Mary. Marrying into such a family, Mary would only face hardship.
Understood, let's go home, Mary.
But...
Also, I'll need Smith Industries to completely withdraw from the $200 million urban development project.
My name is John. In this region, I work for one of the top construction companies, White Construction. Now I'm entrusted with significant tasks and give orders to employees. But I had my struggles when I first entered the construction industry. The main reason is that I only have a high school diploma. When I was in my senior year of high school, gearing up for college entrance exams, my parents died suddenly in a car accident. At that time, I had just gotten a much younger sister. Her name is Mary. She was only a 1-year-old baby then, left with our aunt while our parents went shopping by car when the accident occurred. So, Mary doesn't even remember having parents. I was sure to get into my first choice college, but I gave up on going. With no parents and an infant sister to care for, how could I possibly manage college life? Without any special skills, my employment options were limited. The one thing I could pride myself on as a young man was my physical strength. I learned the ropes of carpentry while hauling heavy materials at construction sites. The foremen were quite rough with their words, but they were good at heart and took great care of me after I lost my parents.
People used to say that the hardships of youth are worth buying.
John, the hardships you're enduring will surely bear fruit someday. Hang in there until then. Perhaps my love for crafting things was also a blessing in disguise. I worked hard, and visiting Mary, who was left with our aunt, with the money I earned became my greatest joy. Mary greeted me with an innocent smile. I felt saved by her presence, wondering how there could be something so precious in the world. From then on, I worked putting myself second until Mary was old enough. By the time Mary was 10, I started managing office and accounting tasks at the company where the foreman had taught me carpentry.
You're smart, rather than working on site. You're better suited for directing us.
It's unthinkable for me to give orders to the foreman. I've only been a carpenter for 10 years.
Listen, people have their strengths and weaknesses.
You clearly have a knack for leading people. For us, it's more efficient to have someone who knows the field and how to handle it. Thus, I became a constant presence in company meetings, supporting the foreman. A turning point in my life came when I was 32. That day, a salesperson from White Construction was scheduled to visit the site. Suddenly, a woman around 25 years old, dressed in a navy blue suit and wearing a yellow helmet, appeared and started wandering around the building.
That area is dangerous. It's off limits to unauthorized personnel.
When I cautioned her, she turned around with a beaming smile.
Hello, I'm Kathy from White Construction.
Her voice was lively and somehow brightened one's spirit. I quickly led Kathy to the office.
I thought it would be a man coming from sales, so I was surprised.
I get that a lot. I'm used to it now, but I think I'm pretty young too, and so are you.
I'm 32 years old.
Wow, you look so young. I thought we were about the same age.
At that time, Kathy was 25, 7 years younger than me. From the day we first met, Kathy's approach was impressive. But for me, not being proactive with women, Kathy's assertiveness was just right, and I naturally started dating her as she led the way. At home, Kathy often praised me, and when we went to her parents' house for the marriage introduction, they welcomed me warmly. And so, I married Kathy and became a son-in-law in the White family. Mary was 15 at the time, a sensitive age, but she was very happy to have a close female relative of her own age. Kathy and I wanted to take Mary in, but she chose to stay at her aunt's house and continue going to school, strongly wishing to do so. Eventually, Mary became a senior in high school, and it was time to think about working or furthering her education. I naturally assumed she would go to college, but Mary wanted to go to nursing school. I objected, but Mary wouldn't budge.
I want to start working soon, earn money, and give back to you, big brother. I want to become a nurse and help many people.
If she has a job she wants to pursue, I want to respect that. But couldn't she become a nurse after graduating from college? Kathy tried to persuade her too, but Mary's determination didn't change. At her high school graduation, I sat in the family section with Kathy, watching Mary receive her diploma. How she had grown up before our eyes. Living a life only knowing her parents from photographs must have been incredibly tough. And as a girl, too. There must have been times she felt overwhelmed with anxiety or despair. Though I say I'm like a parent, it's hard to reach those deeper emotional parts. As I was thinking about the hardships she faced, Kathy quietly handed me a handkerchief.
It's okay, John. Let's continue to support her together.
Kathy's words were more comforting than anything. After graduating from high school, Mary, with our help, started living on her own and attending nursing school. But as a surrogate parent, my worries are endless. I worry endlessly about Mary getting involved with the wrong kind of guy. Despite this, I have my own busy life, with my days filled chasing after work right in front of me. Kathy is still head over heels in love with me, and we still get teased about acting like newlyweds even after all these years. Luckily, Mary and Kathy have a very good relationship. I think of myself as a parent figure and have watched Mary grow up. I thought of her as a child, but time has flown by, and soon Mary will be turning 30. On the work front, there's been significant development too. The long-rumored state land development project was officially announced, and many in the local construction sector will be involved. The whole city is set to be transformed over a 10-year plan. The buildings and roads we create will define the cityscape. We were all excited about a project reminiscent of something hills in the metropolitan area. White Construction, along with many subsidiaries, will also be joining the venture.
It's going to get busy from here on, but I'll make sure we still take care of our life together.
Thank you. We haven't been blessed with children, but this city is like our child.
We've remained close like newlyweds, but we've been unable to have children up to now. Kathy is now 40. We tried fertility treatments for a few years starting around when she was 30, but we were never blessed with children. Now, we've stopped treatment and decided it's better to focus on making our life as a couple as fulfilling as possible.
I'm happy as long as I have you, John. We don't need a biological heir. We can cultivate talented employees instead.
I'm relieved to see that Kathy doesn't feel any less for not having children. Eventually, Mary graduated from nursing school and started working as a nurse.
I really love my job, she said.
It's tough at times, but the gratitude from patients makes all the hardships worthwhile.
Enjoying your job is great, but maybe it's time to find a good partner.
Right, Mary. Marriage is wonderful. You get to be with the person you love all the time.
Mary laughed in response to Kathy's words.
Sis, you're so in love with my brother.
My ideal relationship would be just like you two. My brother got married at 32, so I'd like to do the same by then. Mary, who had never been boy crazy, suddenly seemed to entertain such ideas. One evening, she called.
Brother, I'm getting married. His name is Kenny. He's an IT engineer.
Both Kathy and I were thrilled yet surprised to hear about Mary's engagement. Their meeting took place in the hospital. Kenny was hospitalized for stomach ulcer surgery. He's an IT engineer and the same age as Mary.
He reminded me of you, brother. As we talked, we discovered we were the same age.
Kenny's parents own a construction company.
Oh, a construction company, that's our industry too. What's the name of their company?
I think it's Smith Industries.
But Kenny didn't want to follow in his parents' footsteps. I don't really understand, but he doesn't seem to like his parents much. It's strange, isn't it? For Mary, who grew up without parents, even the worst parents might seem better than none. Her words subtly reveal the hardships of living without parents.
Families are complicated, you becoming a daughter-in-law might help mend their relationship.
That's right, I'll take good care of my future in-laws. After all, they will be my first ever parents.
However, things weren't as simple as they seemed. I sensed trouble from Kenny's attitude. When he visited our home to formally greet us,
John, Kathy, I will definitely make Mary happy, Kenny declared.
as Kathy offered some tea snacks, she nodded happily.
Thank you for coming, we really need to arrange a proper meeting with your parents and Mary.
Kenny hesitated.
No, there's no need to go to such lengths. After all, we are the ones getting married.
Kathy and I exchanged looks.
That won't do, we need to greet them formally at least once, I insisted.
Kenny muttered, "Yes, you're right." Kathy then said,
Understood, I'll book a fancy restaurant and set up a formal meeting. Let's make sure to meet properly.
Thus, a lucky day was chosen for the meeting of both families. But on that very morning, Kathy developed a high fever of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. She insisted on going despite her condition, but I managed to convince her to stay, and I went with Mary instead. The place Kathy had chosen was a well-known upscale restaurant in the area. The same one we used when I reported our marriage to my in-laws. The hostess remembered me and greeted us with a warm smile. In the room, we were guided to. Kenny's father Mike and his wife Jessica were seated together, with Kenny looking rather small beside them.
I apologize for being late, my name is John, Mary's brother.
Mary also bowed deeply and greeted them politely.
Nice to meet you, my name is Mary. I'm truly grateful that you could join us today.
After Kenny introduced his parents, Mike and Jessica, we all took our seats. Before the meal started, beer was served. Once everyone had a glass, Jessica looked at Mary rudely and blurted out,
So, you're just a high school graduate, and an orphan too. This is my first time meeting an orphan.
"You're quite small. Was your diet poor too?" I was stunned. That was totally uncalled for. As I was about to retort, Mike added insult to injury.
Our family has always graduated from prestigious national universities.
A high school graduate isn't quite what we had in mind for Kenny. Kenny stood up.
What are you saying? I've already decided to marry Mary. Enough with your narrow-mindedness.
You've become quite bold. Clearly, the bad influence of mixing with the poor is showing. Mike snapped back.
I stood up too, unable to hold back any longer.
Wait a minute, what's wrong with being a high school graduate?
I'm one too, and I've worked hard my entire life. Please, no more disrespectful remarks.
How dare you? Are you trying to talk back to us?
The nerve of this high school grad. Poor folks should clean themselves up and get out.
With that, Jessica drenched me with lukewarm beer.
Brother, are you okay?
Mary, too, seemed unwelcome as a fiancée and appeared to have no standing. I pulled a handkerchief from my pocket and wiped my wet head and forehead. Kathy had gone through the trouble of arranging this introduction, and Mike and Jessica's remarks had ruined it. Being trapped by the prejudice that being a high school graduate means being poor. These would-be in-laws were not what I had hoped for. Marrying into such a family would only bring Mary hardship.
Understood, let's go, Mary.
But
I don't want to be related to these two either, Mary, you need to think things over.
you're the one who needs to calm down, big brother.
Mary doesn't understand. No matter how much the young couple loves each other, they can't be happy with in-laws like these. Indeed, Mary was right. I couldn't stay calm. Mary and I both graduated from high school, but what's wrong with that? I can handle being insulted, but I can't stand Mary being treated as poor. Unable to contain my anger, I stood up and looked down at Mike and declared,
And another thing, Smith Industries will completely withdraw from the $2 billion urban development project.
Mike and Jessica were stunned.
Urban development. How do you even know about that? Oh, I see. You're a construction worker.
That makes sense for a high school grad.
The lowest of the low, and you're telling us to pull out of the urban development project.
Are you planning to organize some laborers' protest?
That's not a bad idea, but I have the authority to pull you from this urban development project.
Your company is a subcontractor to White Construction, isn't it? Mike's face tensed up.
We've been indebted to White Construction for a long time. What do you mean? What is your relationship with White Construction?
Jessica also looked a bit downcast but was still eager to argue.
Are you telling me you're also a subcontractor for White Construction?
In this industry, the name Brown isn't known. At least, there's no Brown in a leadership position.
It's probably a good time to reveal the truth.
My sister Mary carries the Brown surname, but mine is different.
I didn't introduce myself earlier, as my wife didn't join me today, but my name is John White. My wife, Kathy, is the only daughter of Sam White, the president of White Construction. Mike's mouth moved like a fish gasping for air.
You mean, you are from White Construction?
Yes, I am the executive vice president of White Construction, and I am leading the urban development project.
My father-in-law, Sam, has entrusted me with full authority. Jessica, stunned, murmured quietly.
Can't believe you're the son-in-law of White Construction.
I remember now. Their only daughter is named Kathy, so you are Kathy's husband. I nodded firmly.
That's correct.
I will return to the company and formally remove Smith Industries as a subcontractor. Let's just say we didn't have a good connection this time. Excuse us. I grabbed Mary's shoulder and tried to leave the room forcefully. However, Mary twisted away and broke free from my grip.
Wait, big brother, I haven't said anything yet. This marriage is my decision.
Mary, you don't understand anything about marriage.
It's not just about the individuals, it's about the union of families. If you marry Kenny, I become his relative too. I'm not okay with that.
No, brother, reconsider. Kenny hasn't done anything wrong.
At this point, I was quite exasperated with Mary's insistence on marrying Kenny. To be honest, Kenny hasn't done anything wrong. But I know what will happen. Even if they manage to get married, Mike and Jessica, as in-laws, would keep harassing Mary by calling her poor. I am fortunate to have good in-laws through my marriage to Kathy. But I've come to realize that marriage indeed connects two families. As a son-in-law, I spend important holidays as part of the White family, but that doesn't mean there aren't any issues. Some, like Kathy's cousins, worry that I, a newcomer, might wield too much power. Dealing with such relatives can be really challenging. Fortunately, Kathy is deeply in love with me, and whenever problems arise, she doesn't hesitate to say,
If you have a problem with my choice, then leave White Construction.
her father, Sam, adores Kathy so much that her word is final. Of course, I don't just take advantage of Kathy's support. I strive to earn the trust of those below me by working earnestly. Those who know about my humble beginnings consider me a boss who genuinely cares about his subordinates. In this urban development project, I must approach each task with a broad perspective. If Smith Industries becomes a subcontractor to White Construction, it could mean a decade-long relationship. I cannot work with people who demean me for being a high school graduate or poor. Suddenly, Mike slid closer to me while still seated.
That's right, Mary is correct. We're not against this marriage.
We're just worried because her background is different, and we wonder if she'll fit in. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then, Jessica too crawled over to my feet like Mike.
I'm sorry about earlier, my hand slipped. I didn't mean to spill beer on you.
I looked down at Jessica quietly.
Is that so? Your hand slipped, but I recall hearing someone call me that high school grad.
Jessica stuttered, that was.
It's fine, you didn't make a mistake.
I am a high school graduate, despite my success. Not everyone likes that, but I can't become family with people who think that way. Jessica screamed, "Ah," and in a bizarre act, grabbed a beer bottle from the table and poured it over her own head. Why would she do such a foolish thing when we're not celebrating a baseball championship? Or was she asking for mercy because she'd face the same treatment? That's when Kenny stood up.
Mom, Dad, stop it. It's embarrassing.
After saying such rude things. How can you flip so easily? You're saying things you don't mean, and that's why my brother-in-law is upset. At Kenny's words, Mike and Jessica hung their heads in shame. Kenny turned towards me and bowed deeply.
Brother-in-law, please, I'm begging you.
Allow Mary and me to marry. As of today, I will cut ties with my parents. I won't let Mary see them again, nor will I allow them to call or email her. Please, I'm asking you. Then, standing beside Kenny, Mary rushed to his side and knelt down, bowing her head towards me.
I'm also asking you, big brother, please allow our marriage.
Suddenly, I found myself facing 4 people almost prostrating themselves before me. It started to seem absurd, and I burst into laughter. Mary looked up, her eyebrows raised in disbelief.
Big brother, we are sincerely asking you, and you laugh, that's harsh.
Sorry, it's just so surreal seeing 4 people bowing down to me like this.
I then looked at Kenny, who was still on one knee.
Kenny, you meant what you said earlier, right?
I think it's impossible to cut ties completely, but please do your best to spare her any distress. And I'm sorry, but we will have to end our business relations with Smith Industries. Kenny nodded solemnly.
I understand it's necessary.
Mike and Jessica looked at Kenny with shocked expressions.
Kenny, you mean you don't care what happens to your parents?
Kenny, please apologize to John.
It's a major project involving most construction firms in this region. We took on considerable debt, thinking we could be part of it. Kenny patted Mary on the shoulder and helped her up.
Let's go, Mary. Let's leave it at that. Even if Mary forgives our parents for their rudeness, I can't.
Okay, let's go.
I led the way out of the room, followed by Mary and Kenny. Thus, I left the restaurant with Mary and Kenny and headed home. Kathy came out in her pajamas, looking better than in the morning, and I explained everything that had happened.
Congratulations on your marriage, Mary.
I know you must have mixed feelings about his parents, but I believe John's actions were right. Sometimes, time is what it takes to resolve these issues. Mary seemed resigned and nodded slightly.
Big brother can be really scary when he's angry. I truly realized that today.
I gave her a smile, trying not to worry Mary any further. Mary is naive. The Smiths will soon learn how formidable I can be. Smith Industries has lost the chance to participate in a significant regional project and is now in a tough spot. The construction industry is already fraught with various problems. In this county, there was no worry about running out of work for the next 10 years. Thinking it would be safe for a while, Smith Industries had just built their own office building. Now, with the loans likely to default, they might have to relinquish their building. Mike was desperately trying to find subcontracting work with other companies. I had already subtly mentioned to my colleagues how the president of Smith Industries had called me Pool. I shared it as casual gossip, subtly, yet with a sense of frustration seeping through. It became a rumor in the industry that he who angered the son-in-law of White Construction. And even construction firms that were once close began to distance themselves. At this point, no one was willing to extend a hand to Mike and Jessica. Not just construction firms, but even local businesses like the rice shop and the electrician, who had been part of their lives for years, turned away. Jessica screamed that they couldn't live in this town anymore. Employees started to leave one by one. By the time the last employee left, the office building had changed hands. Eventually, they had to give up their home and fled the county with debt collectors on their heels, becoming untraceable.
The last time she called, my mom said she feels sick every time she sees a beer commercial.
Kathy laughed cheerfully.
I guess I really planted a trauma. Kathy joked.
So, Kenny, you don't know where your parents are either.
They probably don't want to risk letting debt collectors find out by telling me.
Maybe it's also their way of trying to protect me from any harm. It might take 10 years or even 20 for things to go back to how they were. Mary's heart has finally started to settle down.
If they're alive, there'll come a day when we'll meet again, I believe that.
I don't expect to be forgiven for how far I pushed things. But if they ever return to this town, I feel calm enough now to offer some help. Mary and Kenny's wedding was held in Hawaii, funded by us. It was a consideration to avoid the embarrassment of empty seats on Kenny's family side at a reception in Japan. Walking Mary down the aisle, I struggled to hold back tears. When I handed her hand to Kenny, I felt as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. Yet, strangely, I kind of missed that weight. Kathy gently tapped my shoulder.
You really need to get over your sister complex, she said with a smile.
I was at a loss for words, feeling a bit embarrassed, and scratched my head. The relaxed vibe of being overseas made me hug Kathy, who was standing next to me, a little tighter. From now on, I will trust Kenny with Mary's care and focus on making the most of my days with Kathy. I only have words of gratitude for Kenny, for choosing Mary, and for accepting such a challenging brother-in-law. Under the blue sky, I prayed for their happiness.